Hi everybody, welcome to another exciting stream on Bowtie Gaming 14. So, kind of the gist is that this is kind of the new baking setup with me living in the new apartments. So, this is going to be a bunch of trial and error, just a heads up. And then also whenever I do these, this is going to be the permanent time I do this. Like, it's going to be like noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock-ish CST because I don't want to worry about noise complaints anymore because I'm like, during the daytime, it's less of a problem. Especially now that I can't stream gaming at about 1 until like 1 in the morning. Hey James, welcome in, just starting up. So the gist is that, I know I kept the title pretty vague because I wasn't sure what I was making until a few days ago. So we're making a carrot cake because it's a couple days leading up to Easter, so I figured that'd be a good thing to make. I know I had a plethora of options, but I was like, carrot cake sounds like the simplest thing to make with a new setup. Because basically I had to get like this side table that my whole setup is currently on. Like, basically, half the table is the computer, the other half is, like, where I'm going to be mixing stuff, which I know it's a little awkward because the table's, like, below my knees. So eventually I'd like to get a taller table, but what do you do in the meantime? So anyways, I know I'm on a slight bit of a time crunch, so I'm going to try to get going soon. Like, I'm not going to rush through it, obviously, but, like, the cake pretty much has to get in the oven within the next 40 minutes if I can help it. Hey Vanessa, welcome in. Yeah, I'm doing the baking streams earlier because I don't want to worry about noise complaints in my apartments. Because I think doing it at 1 a.m. might cause a bit of issues on that. So it's going to be the end of every month, just like once a month, so that'll be kind of the gist. So on that note, let's get straight into this. So I kind of did some of the prep work already, because basically step one is taking 2 cups worth of chopped pecans and toasting them at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 7 to 8 minutes, so I did that already. Also, they had to cool off for 10 to 15 minutes, so that would have killed a half an hour, so I'm like, let's just do that already while prepping everything. And then the second step was just getting the actual oven for the cake preheated to 350 Fahrenheit, so I did that already. And then kind of the other kind of prep work I did was kind of just pre-greasing the cake pan. So basically I have to grease the cake pan, then put parchment paper on it, and then grease the parchment paper so it'll sink in a bit. Yeah, so basically the situation with the whole audio is that ideally I'd like to use the microphone, but whenever I try to do these baking streams, it doesn't stay on for more than a few seconds, so unfortunately I have to resort to my backup audio, which is on my webcam, which sucks in comparison. There is no fix for this, it is what it is. I apologize. I've tried to troubleshoot this for over a year, probably a half a year, and just no improvements, so I'd almost have to get a better audio or a webcam, but this thing was already decently expensive, so I kind of prefer not to. So it is what it is. Yeah, I was gonna say, trust me, every single time I try to have the actual microphone on, but then it cuts out in a matter of 2 to 3 seconds, and there's no audio. I can kind of show you what I mean really quick. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, pretty much without fail, it cuts out within a matter of 5 seconds. And, when I'm doing gameplay, it's not an issue. I don't know why this happens when it's, purely this kind of a thing. Oh, well. Hey, Dominic, welcome in. Just getting the baking stream going. Just kind of running chat through the whole spiel of why I have to use my webcam audio as opposed to my microphone audio specifically for this and not for gaming. It's weird. It's a thing I've been trying to troubleshoot for half a year, and it just doesn't get any better. Yeah, I was gonna say, this is just, it's reality, I apologize. This is the best I could do with my current setup. Yeah, I also don't know why that happens. Like I said, it's only when this happens, it's not necessarily when the gaming, it's the same, I plug in everything, like normal. I don't know why. Ugh. I'm just gonna go get a quick drink really quick. Because I sampled some of the pecans earlier, make sure they tasted fine. I just gotta go get a quick swig. I'll be back. Good. So yeah, Dominic, to kind of briefly, gosh darn it, to kind of briefly explain why. So my apartment complex has a kind of a quiet times of 11 p.m. There was one particular instance where I was like doing my thing like during my normal stream time, and there was kind of an older lady on the first floor, and like basically I was just unfortunately making a bit too much noise, like crushing I think peppermint candies. She came up, she kind of I had to cut off really quick, and then shit, I kind of got chewed out hardcore for that, and that doesn't help with my anxiety at all. Jesus Christ. So just to prevent that kind of a thing from happening again, I'm just doing it during the daytime when I definitely don't have to worry about quiet hours, because with gaming, it's less of a problem because that's farther away from the door, one. Two, it just generally makes less noise. So like that's why that's not an issue. I do tend to keep the TV volume on to a minimum, but usually that's good enough for my purposes. So that's kind of the gist why I'm doing it during this time period, which is why this is going to be kind of a trial run, because I'm used to doing it later. And then I'm still streaming later, it's just, this is kind of a... Well, and I should mention this particular lady was like, probably looked like she was in her 60s or 70s, so you can connect the dots on that. So anyways, I'm just going to try to get going before I run out of time, because I got work in a few hours. Like, if the cake's not in the oven within the next, like, 40 minutes, I'm screwed. I was gonna say, have you seen some Karens and Kens out there? Have you met those kind of people? They will complain about the most minute details. Well, and of course, part of it, too, is that, like, it's not even just about the noise, it's about the vibrations they're getting from their ceiling. So it's also that crap. I can freely talk about this now because she doesn't live in this building. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, so let's go ahead and start getting the cake prepped. So I gotta combine the brown sugar, regular sugar, veggie oil, eggs, applesauce, and vanilla extract. And then combine the second half of the ingredients. Let's go ahead and get that going. Alright, so for starters, I need 1.5 cups of brown sugar, so go ahead and get going. Grab my plethora of bowls. You can never have enough bowls, I swear. Yeah, and like I said, I know it's kind of a preference. It's just unfortunately I had that kind of a neighbor. Yeah, lucky me. Well, the thing is, like, I don't even think she was living there initially when I moved in, because when I started streaming, and I was making that much noise, like, every month on the regular, and I had, like, a party on a rare occasion with, like, people. No problems. It gets to be the holidays of last year, and then it's a problem. Yeah, and that's the thing, like, that's how petty it was, but, like, it didn't stop her from chewing me out. Like, it is that dumb and it is that ridiculous. Yes. That's why it was infuriating. That's why I'm glad I moved. For one of many reasons. I was that kind of pissy about it. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's that dumb and ridiculous. Like, you just have to, like, some people just do not understand how petty some Kens and Karens are in this world. Like, honestly, just finding out that that was a term, honestly, just felt cathartic after a while. Because, like, finally, there's a terminology for these kind of people, particularly older people or parents, that are just pieces of crap and just use their status to basically abuse their younger members of society in that sense. I mean, like, retail jobs and all that crap. Alright, so 1.5 cups. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that, because otherwise I'm going to go on an angry tangent for an hour, and I'd kind of prefer not to before my job. Yeah, exactly. That's why I would say like Ken or Karen. Yeah, I was gonna say Karen is really just a state of mind. Oh no, yeah, like I said, it's more so for the sake of my mental sanity. I try not to go on too many tangents about it because I've not that I necessarily have anger management issues because I don't, but like I don't want it to start because of petty stuff like that. All right, where's the scissors? Because yeah, basically it's like the amount of times I've had to bail out myself and coworkers from Karens. Too many to count. Like both, yeah, I say both at jobs and then outside of work. Just can that behavior just go die in a hole? Is the gist. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to remeasure that. Yeah, it's fine. This is why I'm glad this is the first thing I added in the bowl. Thanks, Vanessa. I appreciate it. I mean, I've kind of told you the gist about everything that's been going on, but I know there's just some subtle stuff that I just don't mention because, like I said, it's one of those things where it grinds my gears. Also, it doesn't help that a couple of said Karens basically led to the inheritance debacle. Yes, I will forever refer to my relatives that way because that's how they acted. I do not care. Alright, so half a cup. Another half a cup. Okay, so that's how much I actually need. And I just gotta put the rest of this back in the bag. Yeah, like I said, exactly. Well, here's the thing, like, it's one of those things where, like, it's not like I need to talk about it, like, I've kind of already made peace with myself in that regard. This is just me explaining it to other people that, like, this happened, it's reality, I'm at peace with it. Yeah, exactly, it's a chapter I closed, but, like, it's more of talking about it with other people, it's just to be like, hey, this is a thing. No, trust me, I kind of did to a certain extent already, because, like, otherwise that was just gonna fester. Like, I did this years ago. Back in college. Back when this was going on. Because I could tell my mental sanity was just kind of at an all-time low in regards to dealing with my relatives. So it's just like, yeah, let's just talk about this so I can move on. Because I prefer this to not be baggage for the next couple of decades. Alright, so I think I bailed all the brown sugar out finally. Yeah, I was gonna say, just it's definitely not healthy from speaking from experience. Like that, not even counting just advice you could get, just speaking from experience, I know it's not healthy to hold on to that crap. Alright, so that's that. So then we need a half a cup of granulated sugar. Oh yeah, it definitely happens to everybody. Get the extra. There we go. Yeah, the main reason I'm kind of switching subjects to this, back to the cake, the main reason I'm doing this now is because the next one I do is going to be post-Easter, so I'm like, well, if I want to get an Easter baking thing, I gotta do it now. Otherwise, it's going to be a couple weeks past. Alright, so then I need a cup of veggie oil. Wasn't sure if this bottle was going to have enough, so I just had the second one. To preface why I have so much vegetable oil, I was making a couple things for Mardi Gras, one of which I haven't made yet, so eventually get on that. Wow, just pretty much right on the nose. Just a little bit extra, but that's about it. Cool. Just weird having like 2 things of sugar just like floating, or not, just like kind of sinking in a sea of veggie oil. Alright, so I need to add eggs, applesauce, and vanilla. Okay, so then the next thing I need is 4 eggs. Go. So as per my tradition, this is the one thing I never do ahead of time, unless I'm just that, well, okay, 99% of the time I don't do this ahead of time because I want you guys to get the egg cracking experience every time, and I do not care because it's fun. Alright, just gotta get the holes out of the way so I can actually show this on cast to a certain extent, because otherwise the bigger roll is gonna be in the way. Alright. And then, this is the negative side about this table, is I kind of have to kneel down whenever I'm doing any legit work. Which isn't a massive deal, it's just this thing is naturally, like, and this is the tallest setting on this table. Hey Joe, welcome in, just making a carrot cake. Yeah, unfortunately I might have to do this on the counter, because this is not hard enough to crack the eggs. So unfortunately I'm going to be over here doing it, but what do you do? And of course, let's get the obligatory "you will give me an egg" joke out of the way. You know, it's coming in from TRG. I know I do it every time, but I don't care. And it's going to fail to take these out. Cool. Definitely washing my hands after this. Alright, there we go. Yeah, this is the other part of it. It's like premier hand washing action in motion. Yeah, make sure to wash your hands. You don't want people to be eating dirty, contaminated food. I just say this because I know there's some people who just didn't take home ec classes, or just never had the opportunities, or just never had the opportunity to cook or bake anything. That's why I always give that PSA of, like, especially when you're dealing with meats, wash your hands. Because I don't want you guys to get sick. Oh god! To be fair, I did do that when I was a kid. Whenever we had, I think 1 or 2 Easters, we'd have like Easter egg hunts, which would very quickly turn over to Easter egg fights. And I think that's why they started boiling the eggs after a while. Oh yeah. Also, definitely touch it when you're dealing with hot peppers. You're totally not going to destroy your eyeballs. Alright, so let's get the eggs in there. And then one thing I always preface before I do it, just to also speed up the process, I use a balsa because it's easier. I use a hand mixer. That thing is ridiculously loud, so the audio will get turned off so I don't blow your guys' eardrums out. I will warn you in advance, but it's going to happen at least a couple times. Alright, PSA over. Alright, so then I need 3/4 of a cup of applesauce. Not something you think of being a carrot cake, but it is, depending on the recipe. Yeah, also that. There you go. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Yep, yeah, this particular recipe, it's like why you would put sour cream in a cake. It's to basically give it a moisture consistency. That's kind of the main reason with this. It's like you're kind of already some carrot cakes kind of have like kind of an appley taste. That's why. It kind of just depends on how you want to make it. This is not the first time I made one that includes applesauce. Oh god. Don't remind me. Okay. Yeah, I love me some good applesauce, especially when my tummy's upset. One of those good neutral foods. Alright, there we go. 3/4 cup of applesauce. Yeah, no, this is like the smallest quantity you could get in a jar without just getting those like single cups, and I just didn't want to have to pour there, or I didn't want to have to scrape that out. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just be able, rather just pour it out of a jar and make it easy, because I'm gonna eat the rest of it. Yeah, I was gonna say, and this of course is a massive upgrade because also several of my appliances were kind of breaking down because it was a slightly older apartment, whereas this is brand spanking new, so everything ideally should work. To be fair, I did tests on everything just so that the mechanics could fix anything, but nope, no problems. So yeah, it's definitely a massive upgrade. And then also just the amount of closets I have in this new place. Like, I have a coat closet, I have a pantry closet, and I also have a fourth closet. Because it used to just be the original walk-in closet, and that was it. And then, like, to put it in perspective how chaotic it was getting after a while, all my appliances, essentially, you guys can see this countertop thing. They were lying on top of the counters because I was running out of room. And there were like 8 up there. So now I can use like the pantry closet to store those things, and I actually have room for all my pots and pans in the actual front section. Like I said, there's so many reasons I needed a new apartment, and I didn't realize how badly I needed it until I moved in. Like, I was kind of just okay with it to a certain extent until I was like, how the frick did I live this way? How did I do it? This is definitely worth the slightly increased rent. Alright, then I need a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Not for a while. I mean, like, to put in perspective how ridiculously expensive it is, like, you have to be making, like, triple your rent and your pay, which, to put that in perspective, you have to be making 6 digits. 6. For a person. That's doable for like a couple. For an individual, I don't like. You'd have to be rich to be having that kind of an income. Like, jeez, yeah, it's that bad. Like, to put in perspective, I had to co-sign on this apartment because that was the case, and it's even worse with the housing market. For what I've heard from friends, and then also because like originally I was going to try to get into a townhouse like the previous year. Had that problem, and by the time I was getting it situated, I got screwed out of like the 3 that were available. So then I was in that apartment for another year, and then these opened up, and then just same situation. I had to be making or like 6 digits in a salary. I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting that collectively until I'm married. That's just not happening. Yeah, just I don't know if it's just Minnesota or what. It's bad. I don't know where my teaspoon's at. Where did I put those things? I could have sworn I never took them out. Hold on a second. Yeah, I just never took them out. Cool. Simple enough. Alright. But yeah, like I said, it's so dumb because it's only a formality. It's really just like, you have the co-signer, and that's it. Because, like, I'm paying the entire rent because I can afford it. Like, for sure. It's just dumb. Alright, so that's all combined. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on the, my dad. Originally it would have been my mom, but she retired, so we were like, yeah, just in case we get screwed out of because of a technicality, because she's retired, we're like, yeah, my dad's going to be working for a few more years, so that kind of hopefully solves that issue, at least initially while I'm staying here, because figure it'd be less of a problem down the line. Oh, like I said, it was really just a matter of just signing up paperwork, because they know I've been paying rent for several years. I have a good track record of being able to pay my rent on time, so I feel like that's kind of what helps build up the trust on that. All right, so this is where I'm gonna go mix it. So there's gonna be no audio for a minute or so. So I'll be back. Alright, so that's all mixed. It really just looks like applesauce. Because between all the color mixtures. Alright, so then the next step is I'm going to be adding the second half of the ingredients, which are kind of like all the dry ingredients. Alright, so they recommend doing this in another bowl, so let's see. Yeah, I'll go with this one. So I've been streaming since early June, so it'll be about 10 months, next week. In terms of actual times, it's like half a week. I'd say probably actually 4 to 5 months. If you count it solid, it just I'd almost have to look at the hours to be that's how long it is in days, because I know you can keep track of that with Twitch stats. Yeah, it's been pretty fun in terms of affiliate status. I've been at that since early to mid-November, so that's probably been more 4 or 5 months. Yeah, like I said, I have a blast here. Alright, so let's go back to the ingredients. So the first thing is going to be the big boy, which is the flour. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like it works out in terms of scheduling. I don't seem terribly tired after doing it for 4 or 5 hour days. Just seems like it's the perfect amount. Because I know I've explained this a bit more on stream, but I get kind of tired after about 5 hours, so it kind of just seems like the right amount to do for me. Because I don't want to nod off on you guys as part of it. Because then it just turns into a sleeping stream, and it's yeah, I don't know about that. So I kind of do to a certain extent. I think you've seen Zachman around. Kind of do a few things with him on occasion, and I kind of more so also for charity events when they happen. I'd say it's when it comes up a bit more frequently. That's honestly about it, and with my schedule, I think that's all I would really have time for anyways, because I'm starting a new cosplay next week once I get all the materials, so my time is just going to get even more limited if I want to get that done. Mainly just multiplayer games like Mario Party and Mario Kart, simple stuff like that. More so just for see okay, how compatible are we in terms of streaming, because you almost find out with a collab very quickly if you are not compatible. You end up just disliking or hating each other. Because I know that's happened to some bigger streamers and YouTubers that have said it after the fact. It's just yeah, we just didn't click after the first time. Ooh, nice. Alright, so that's the flour. I mean, trust me, I had to get mine, or her help initially just to get situated again, but now that I got the gist, I'm off to the races. Alright. Okay, the baking powder. Well, I'm going to bolt that in the soda. Yeah, and that's what I think. That's the other thing is I usually just ease into it. Like I don't just do that by default because some people just get massively turned off by that. It kind of just depends on the person. All right. Like I mean, if it's excessive. Like I think the occasional word or so isn't going to be that big of a deal, but if you just go out just saying like the F word like a bunch, that might turn some people off. I say this because I've definitely witnessed other people doing it on other people's streams, and like I said, I get why those people are not invited back. Because it's too strong of a first impression. Alright, so then a teaspoon of baking soda. To clarify, this is a half cup. All my single cups are dirty, so that's why you're seeing me pour double in. Oh gosh. Then a half a teaspoon of salt. Yeah, because the only thing I can really, because like I'll be able to make the cake and the batter and the frosting on stream. Beyond that, no, because I know it's going to be kind of getting close to when I have to leave when that's going to be done, and then also you're not supposed to frost the cake until the thing's completely cooled off. So and that takes hours. So that's definitely going to be I do this after I get off of work kind of a thing. So if you guys are on Twitter, I'll post a picture later. Otherwise. Or yeah, it'd be kind of the main place. Alright. Just making sure I don't add too much stuff. Yep, it really is all the dry ingredients. Okie dokie. So then I need a teaspoon and a half of cinnamon. Yeah, I might as well get all these out because I need all these. Cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves. Yeah, I could see that. Alright. Stamp. Yeah, I was gonna say it all depends on who you follow. Just like I mean, like don't get me wrong, it's kind of one of those places where like you find like the most wholesome crap and then the absolute dumpster fires of the internet. Like honestly, sometimes in a matter of a couple seconds, it's a roller coaster constantly. It's like, oh, this person rescued a puppy. This person just killed like 50 people. Like, I swear, it's that much of a roller coaster. Alright, so then I need a teaspoon and a half of that. Yeah, I know, I try not to get into that too much. Well, especially on streams, I just don't really want to talk politics on streams just because I know people just tend to come here for a bit more of a chill vibe to escape that stuff. Alright, so then my quarter, yeah, still just like half full and call it a day. Yeah, go with that. Yeah, I know, it's kind of one of the rules that a lot of streamers have is just like, don't bring this stuff up because it's only going to end in disaster. Because you just don't know how diversified your viewers' opinions are until you bring that stuff up, and then it's Pandora's box at that point. You're good. It's just more of a kind of a thing where it's like it's not necessarily a big deal on my stream. I'm just saying if you like follow bigger streamers, that's especially going to be a rule of thumb. It's kind of just more of like just for your awareness kind of a thing. Alright, so still gonna add that. So I need a quarter teaspoon of cloves. Yeah, like I said, it's kind of just like a neutral ground where you can just be like, I'm just not going to think about that stuff for a bit. Well, especially when, like, relatives would bring it up constantly when I was younger. It's just like, yeah, video games were, like, definitely one of those places where, like, yay, this is a place I don't have to think about that crap. It feels like it's constantly shoved in your face. It just really does not want to come out. Okay, there we go. Cap. Oh, duck. Alright, then I need a teaspoon of this. Yeah, I know, just like there's a YouTuber I follow named Jax Films where like honestly there's one that he every year he does this thing called royalty free Christmas songs. They're really funny. One thing he did earlier on was a song, it's literally "Let's not talk about politics at the Christmas table." Honestly, I wish that song had existed earlier in my life because I seriously would have just been like I would have played it just to get all my relatives to shut up. Like, occasional banter is fine, but when it becomes into a full-on argument that may or may not result in physical altercation, you're like, yeah, let's just stop this right now. Super don't. Alright. I mean, seriously, it's kind of a similar brow of humor that I did, like the whole, me with the Waluigi Tom with that one neighbor. It's that same brow of humor, and I'm glad it exists. Yeah, like I said, it gets ridiculous. There's some people, like, I mean, to be fair, I know it kind of just goes hand in hand with that said person's, like, violent personality and just everything, but, like, that just adds fuel to the fire at that point. Okay, so that's all combined. And then because that's all dry ingredients, I can just go ahead and just mix that by hand. So that's ridiculously easy. Of course, you definitely want to be careful because flour just kind of like puffs upward no matter how slow you turn. Yeah, I was gonna say I wish that's how. Well, and that's the thing. It's just like, fortunately, I just had bullies on one particular side of my family. The other side just never really brought that stuff up, and it was just really calm. But that one particular side of the family would just, I should say, this is the inheritance debacle side of the family, to put that in perspective. They would just get a bit more heated. To be fair, there were more of them too, so I know that didn't help, because my dad's side's a bit less people. Oh no! Yeah, like I said, just knowing how it feels, I feel bad for anyone going through that kind of crap, because just it sucks. Oh, that's like I said, just I know it's not the worst thing, but greed's just up there. It's freaking up there, man. Yeah, I say as long as it, and that's the thing. It's like I know my family and I didn't really matter about the money either. It's just we were more upset about how irresponsible they were being because with like how slowly they sold the house. It was more so they were just being irresponsible. It wasn't even like getting the money or not getting the money. Like they could have resolved it like probably 3 times as quickly if they had made more logical choices. Is all I'll say on that. Yeah, like I said, it's, it doesn't really matter too much, but yeah, I get it. All right. Okay, so this they actually have to get folded in. You can't whisk this. Alright, where's one of my spatulas? Because sometimes you have to fold in ingredients if you don't want your consistency of the batter to get just utterly decimated. This is one of those times. So you just kind of have to like gradually do this kind of a turning motion. Yeah, because I mean it's honestly just that whole concept of people who win game shows, like just how frequently people just blow the money. Especially people who just aren't used to having that much money. They just don't know how to be responsible with it in some cases. Or they just feel like they can go nuts on a lot of big boy purchases like that cost that much money because they have it. Oh yeah, the wet layer is just so moist that you don't even need to mix that with the mixer. It just kind of naturally goes in after a bit. Still looks like applesauce. Alright, so that's in there. Okay, so then gotta measure out half the pecans and then the carrots. Well, that can just go in. So yeah, basically off screen too, I had to grate 2 cups worth of carrots. Boy, that took a while. I should have bought grated carrots in retrospect, but what do? I committed, darn it. You get a good grater, it's not that big of a deal, but that did take a half an hour. Like, yeah, that probably would have killed some time earlier, but what do? Alright, so that's in, and then I need a cup's worth of pecans. The other half just kind of get put on the top of the cake once it's done baking to get the frosting on there as garnish. Alright, so there we go. Boom. Yeah, trust me, it's one of the better things you can get for your kitchen equipment. Like even, let me dig in my dishwasher really quick. I apologize, this thing is covered in carrots still, but I'm just going to show it off. If you get one that's like this size, that one really, like a more condensed one, it honestly, like, it goes faster if you have, like, some smaller objects. This is the kind of thing I'd recommend. You can also get a bigger one, too, but, like, this is, like, yeah, a zester, like, if you, I mean, kind of just a, yeah, I'd say a grater and a zester is what I'd recommend. But, yeah, I was using a zester for the carrots, and that really just made it go fast. Back in the dishwasher with you. Yeah, there's honestly a lot of cooking stuff I could recommend. I just don't try to do it too often because I realize that kind of stuff requires money, and I don't want to... I guess I just try not to promote products too much unless I'm like... I guess unless they want to hear about it. Just unsolicited promotions, I guess how I'd phrase that. It's more of a kind of a thing where it's like, if a person's like, hey, I need this particular kind of product... then I'll give or like, especially if they give the prompt like, hey, do you want my advice? And if they say yes, then I'll just be like, well, then here, in this case, I'll give you like 5 recommendations right now. Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of a thing. It's the same reason why I never like push anyone to ever give tips or sub in or on this or anything, because I'm like, just having people just hang here is more than good enough for me. Gosh, it just turns into a telemercial. I'm like, oh gosh, that's just one of those things where it's like, if I ever became that scummy of a person, I just, like, someone just needs to slap me at that point. Like, that's not okay. It's kind of the reason, like, some people might have seen this if you watched Pizza Tower last night. There's a, there was kind of all of how it started. So basically, there was an artist on my channel that was like, okay, give me a... Well, it was kind of a weird situation anyways, because usually you ask for commissions, they don't usually, like, almost coerce you into a commission. like, they're usually not the ones initiating the process, for the most part. And to be fair, later I found out it's because they're part of a company, so that makes sense. But, like, then they were trying to, like, push onto other things. I'm like, I can't afford it. And after 3 times of saying I can't afford it and them not taking no for an answer, I basically just like, hey, you need to back off or you're getting blocked. So another person last night was, like, basically trying to pull the same crap, so I basically gave my mods full permission that if anyone tries to promote their crap like that, they're getting insta-banned. Because I'm done. No more. It's just, it's really scummy behavior. It's like, I will commission for people when I have the money and also when I want to. Because like, yeah, I would absolutely love to get more emotes, but I'm out of emote slots. Yeah, exactly, and I usually always just be like, yeah, because that was part of it too, is I was not looking for commissions at all. So I was just like, yeah, they're getting banned. I don't care. Alright, so I believe that's folded. I mean, it's how you learn sometimes, too. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I also just do it, like, when I'm not confident I could draw a certain thing myself. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just pay $20 to $25 on an emote to just commission someone and they will do a top-tier job. Like, it was kind of almost like it was basically with the whole sub-badges situation, it was kind of ridiculous. Basically, I was like, okay, do this commission. Basically, I want these things to be like different things inside of a bow tie. They just did the object. So and then of course I was like, well, yeah, we also talked about doing this, and then they were like, no, we didn't, and I basically had to like thoroughly convince them with a lot of evidence that yes, I did. Stop gaslighting me. So then because they were going to charge me extra for it, I'm like, no, I'm already paying a decent amount of money. Don't pull this crap with me, or you're definitely getting banned. I don't even care about getting the commission at this point. It's a matter of don't be a scammer. So then they did it, and there we go. All right, have a good one, Vanessa. See ya. Okay, so now these are going to go into cake pans because it's going to be like a 2-layer cake once this is done. Yeah, I don't need that yet. Alright, so I have to carefully kind of pour this in half. Yeah, screw it, this might get to be a bit messy. I'm just going to go ahead and pour it in the cake pans. They're greased anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. It says you can either split them into 2 layers or 3 layers. Alright. Sure it doesn't drip too bad. And basically it's going to very quickly pour this out off the paper. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, because like I didn't mind a commission because like it was something that I'm like, okay, I probably would have not done this for a bit, but I'm not opposed to doing it now, especially since you're giving me a discount at your rate. I was not opposed to it, but I was like, that's all I was gonna do because like when I was getting towards the end of the commission, they were also being like, hey, do you want to add all this other crap on there too and do other stuff? I'm like, no. Yeah, basically, yeah, like basically one of the cardinal rules for internet safety is just know the warning signs of a scammer. Rule number 2, know the warning signs of a sexual predator or a groomer. Because that has unfortunately happened way too frequently. It's stuff that didn't exist in the early days of the internet because it hadn't happened frequently. Like, I know, like, there's obviously been stuff going on, like... Oh, basically, I was just saying, like, cardinal rules of, like, internet safety. So basically, it was like, rule number 1, know the warning signs for a scammer. Rule number 2, warning signs for how to basically look out for a groomer. Basically, just people, not good people on the internet. Because it is 2 different types of not good people. One scamming you out of your money, one scamming you out of your body, and also maybe your money. And your minds, depending on how much of a psychopath they are. Yeah, that's unfortunately way easier to figure out. It's like grossly unfortunate how much easier that is. Like, it should be as easy to just do both. Alright, so then those are both in the pans. Let's go and put those in. Those have to bake for 30 to 35 minutes, so I'll just set that for 35. Yeah, see, I know that was a big one. Well, and then, of course, also there was, like, there's obviously, like, stuff that happens, like, kind of just gradually over time. There was a massive reckoning in 2021 with a bunch of people that got outed. I know it was, like, mainly because of the pandemic, because a lot of people had time on their hands to dig up the information, but there were just so many people that got outed at the beginning of that year. It was insane. Alright. Alright, so the next step is making the frosting. Alright, so grab this bowl. Alright, so I gotta beat cream cheese and butter together, so need half a cup or a stick of butter. And then 16 ounces or 2 packages of cream cheese. Well, and of course, like part of that whole situation, like obviously I won't delve into it too much, but kind of the gross part is once you are aware that people are getting ousted that are like your age or younger, it hits different. Like, just my goodness, does it hit different? Because you're like, wow, there's people my age and younger that are pulling this crap. Ew, like double ew. Like, that's kind of how it happened when I was, like, back in 2021, because multiple people that got ousted were, like, my age or younger. I was like, ugh. Well, and also, you can't pull the I didn't know better card at that point, because it's like, okay, you've been on the internet for how long? There's been how many scandals that have involved these people? Like, you can't, like, it's not unexcusable regardless, but especially as time passes. Yeah, like I said, that's why there's certain conventions that I know never to go to those parties, because just the stuff that comes out about what happens at those parties, and still happens at those parties. Like the PAX East parties, I know never to go to those. The MagFest stuff, I never know to go to those, just because, like, you don't know what sicko's gonna be there that's gonna, you know, do unspeakable acts to other people. I think KatsuCon also has problems with that. Oh gosh. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and, Alright, I gotta clean these first. Never mind. It's not gonna go quiet for a minute, so I gotta clean these off first. Yeah, so that's why I always watch out for like people like who are like kind of might be going through stuff like that. And I always encourage people like obviously privately, and I'm just like, yeah, if there's anything off, just let me know because I want to know who the weirdos are to stay away from and warn other people about, just so they get outed faster. Or just like if they've been out, it just encourages more people to stop following them. Alright, so that's done. Okay, so now it's going to go quiet for a minute or so. Alright, so that's mixed. So then I gotta add powdered sugar, vanilla extract, and salt to that. Okay, so I need 4 cups of powdered sugar. The new bag kind of exploded on me, so that's why I have to keep it in a plastic bag. Yeah, exactly. Like, especially when it's like a minority of people, you just kind of feel, slightly grossed out and everything because you're like, why? Or just like you just feel slightly off afterwards, if anything. Things go back to normal eventually, but sometimes it takes a bit, or as normal as it's gonna get. Maybe it just also hits different because I'm a female. I don't know. Because I know it's kind of a similar situation with like male friends and family in my life. They're not as bothered by such things. Especially when some like IRL victims that it's like that kind of stuff's happened to, and you're just like, ugh. Can people just be normal for 5 seconds? Jesus. Like, it's kind of just one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm sorry I have such high standards if I kind of expect people to not be scummy like that. Excuse me if that's too high of standards for all of you. It shouldn't be, but unfortunately it is, according to some people. Alright, 2.5. 3. 3.5. And 4. And very gently tilt this thing up. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think like, I don't know if it's actually more popular, but just from my outside perspective, I think it would. It sounds like it'd be more of a popular thing to get into, but I could be wrong. Because I mean, if you're gonna have more people, it's unfortunately bound to happen more frequently. All right, so that's that. So then I'm gonna add a teaspoon and a half of extract and a pinch of salt. Oop. Yeah, I think you're definitely right on that. It's definitely more of a kid-friendly franchise, which is why I think the crimes just end up hitting harder because you're like, there's just unmistakably pedophilia going on at that point. Just like, ugh. Alright. Yeah, I was gonna say, and then you just hope that crap doesn't go down. Alright, so it's gonna go silent for a few minutes because I gotta mix this. I mean, like, again, that's just one of those bare minimum things, like, even to that extent, but just because I know it's unfortunately like a stereotype that, like, they're all coming in super dirty, but it's like, well, they're fitting it, unfortunately. Okay, so that's the end of making the frosting. So from there, it's basically just, like, assembling the cake and making it, so that's not going to happen for a while, so that's pretty much just going to wrap up what I can do on stream, at least. Plus, I know I got to get going to work within the next hour or so. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave that then. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Like I said, it's nice to kind of casually chat with people a bit more because, you know, I'm not in the middle of playing, like, Pizza Tower or something. I mean, games in general, but especially Pizza Tower. Seriously, go back and watch the VOD unless you want to get, you don't want to get spoiled for the game. It's a ride and a half. I played the entire thing yesterday. It's good stuff. So yeah, I'll be back about 1 a.m. CST with the Fire Emblem Fates playthrough starting up. So I will be streaming again, I guess technically tomorrow, with that. So I'll see you guys in about 12-ish hours. So yeah, until then, see you then. Have a good day and have a good night.